Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Daily Gold podcast for another company interview. With me today is Alex Black. He is the founder and chairman of Rio2. And Alex, let's get right into it. First things first, talk about the decision to give you guys full environmental approval and what other permitting roadblocks are there, if any, from here until construction? I mean, are we all done with that? Can people breathe a sigh of relief?
I think everybody can have have a sigh of relief. And thanks for having me on your show, Jordan. This is the first time, so thanks very much. But yeah, look, everybody should take a sigh of relief, take it easy. Now we're doing all the bureaucratic stuff, which is the permitting. Nothing can really hold that up apart from bureaucracy. Nobody can object to what we're doing. Nobody can change their minds. Nobody can do anything. So, you know, we're on that path. We had already started the permitting process in the before we got stopped 18 months ago. So it's a matter of just lodging all that paperwork, and we've asked for expedition or a fast track for that because of the importance of this project to the region. And, the mining minister has been lobbied pretty heavily from other sources, not from ourselves, about fast tracking this project. So let's hope that happens. But it typically in Chile, it takes 2 to 3 months for the paperwork to come into place, or the permits. The permits can't be withheld because they're based on the EIA. The EIA is approved. So there's nothing that can hold us up really there apart from bureaucracy. And yeah, so we're on that path.
Okay, so talk about, I guess, two things. Talk about the things that you have to do this year as you move towards construction. And then secondly, how will you finance the remaining capital that's needed to build this mine? I know you just put out a new presentation this morning. Page 10, you're showing $110 million to be financed via debt and equity. I mean, I don't want to answer the question for you, but maybe you can, again, I guess a two-part question. First, what do you have to do this year? And then secondly, the breakdown of the financing needed to build this mine.
Yeah, and thanks for mentioning the updated presentation. Yeah, that went up just recently. We were offline for the whole period of this hold up. So we've updated all the numbers. As you know, we finished a feasibility study last year. It was about October of last year, September, October last year. That brought all the numbers up to date. So really for us, the key task that we have to get into is A, permitting, but B, the financing and putting that in place. And as you correctly identified from the presentation, the remaining capex, when you take into account the existing Wheaton Precious Metals gold stream, whereby they have still to advance us $25 million, the total amount we need is about 110 million US. So that's what I like about gold projects and gold oxide heap leach projects in particular, and run of mine in particular, is that the capex is relatively low intense in comparison to lots of other commodities. So $110 million, how is that going to be done? I don't know. We're in the process now with Endeavour Financial. We've sent out, or they've sent out, teasers and NDAs to a raft of banks and funds, etc. Now we're getting those NDAs back. I can tell you the interest is quite high for getting involved in this project. Will it be traditional bank finance, senior secured debt with equity, or will it be a fund that comes in and says, we'll put some equity down and we'll also give you some debt and, give you sort of like a turnkey package? I don't know. And what's our preference? Look, our preference is to get the money, as long as we get it, not ridiculously expensive money. I think we can get our way around that. But, I think we're going to finance this project. And the other thing which we can talk more about in a minute, is that the financing of this project is for the first phase, which gets us to about 100,000 ounces per annum of gold production. But really, this project has the ability to expand way beyond that. And so anybody who finances us now will obviously be in a good position to help us finance the expansion of the project as well. So there's an appetite there for what can this project become.
And just before we get to that, just a quick follow-up on the financing. Can you give us a ballpark of how much might be equity? I mean, what does it have to be a minimum of 25%? Could it be as high as 50%? Is it somewhere in there?
Yeah.
I mean, I know you don't know for certain yet, but can you give us any color on that?
Well, it could be 70-30, could be 75-25, 25 being equity and the rest being debt. I don't know. That's what we'd like. I mean, obviously, we'd like to minimize dilution as much as possible. And our share price, as you know, has recovered, but it hasn't gone back to where we were when this whole schmozzle happened, 18 months ago. It's recovered about half the price. Unfortunately, we've been damaged by this whole issue. So yeah, we want to put a lid on dilution as much as possible. We're shareholders like everybody out there that's listening to this interview, and so yeah, I mean, but I got no idea, and I will have maybe in a couple of months. The good thing about this project, and just to talk about the timeline for this project, because you asked me about what we need to do. So permitting, financing, but because we were delayed and because we want to start this project or start construction of this project at the beginning of the summer season, we're delayed by that virtue till September of this year, because we're in the middle of summer now in Chile. And obviously, we're not going to get financed tomorrow. So we've missed this summer. So next summer, September, that's the time frame we need, which is 8 months to get our financing in place. And so that's kind of good because 8 months, yeah, we should have all our eggs and all our ducks in a row, and ready to go. Basically. Come September. I'm confident we're going to get this project financed. I just don't know where or who's going to be the one that we select to do that, or people or groups that we select to do that.
Yeah, it's all the same. I mean, aside from the cost of debt, I mean, money's money. It's green.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've got to get this project built. It's an important project for the region. The Atacama region in Chile has got, I think, the highest unemployment rate of the whole of the country. It's a mining province or mining region. We were interfered to by the federal government, not the regional government. The regional government's for this, businesses for this, the community's for this. So everybody wants this project to go. 1,200 people will be employed during construction, 550 during operation. So, this, and as you know, the spin-off effect of those direct employees is about 10 to 1. So, we're going to create business for a lot of people in that region that need it to happen. So we've got everything behind us. Unfortunate, people have asked me, is Chile open for business? Would you recommend that people go and invest in Chile? Yes, I would. We're in the wrong place at the wrong time. New government, high ideals, communist, stated communists. I mean, I'm not calling them communists because I'm trying to be derogatory. They're stated communists, and it didn't work for them, right? The first 2 years were a disaster, and Chile's feeling that now. I mean, the GDP in Chile went negative in last year, and they are trying to pull on the brakes now, or trying to stimulate investment in the country to turn things around. So we were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. This government will be finished in 2 years. The next government, I think, will be a centrist government, whether it's centre left, centre right. I don't think it's going to be like this one was extreme left, and maybe the next one would be extreme right. I don't think that's going to happen. I think, you know, yeah, we're just in the wrong place at the wrong time. But Chile is definitely open. We will get this project built. There are only 4 gold miners in Chile. We're one gonna be gold mining company. Then there's Pan American, who bought out Yamana last year. There's Goldfields and there's Kinross. We're the 4 companies. So the gold business in Chile is not huge. It's predominantly dominated by copper, and they want to be dominated by lithium in the future. Not sure how that's going to go, because I'm not sure about the viability of lithium for the long term. But you know, so we're in a, you know, small business area or segment of the gold, of the mining industry, and you know, we will get this mine built.
Yeah, I know you're going to get the mine built. And let's move into talking about the expansion, because as you said, this project has significant growth potential. This thing can get much bigger in the future after you get it up and running. Let's first talk about the permitting aspect of a much larger operation. Are you going to have the same kind of headwinds when you try to permit this much larger?
We have to modify our EIA, right? As I say, this government's going to be finished in 2 years, so I'm assuming that by the time we're ready to modify the EIA, we'll be in a different government regime. So that doesn't worry me. But yes, you have to modify your EIA. You have to get the project permitted. The water source, that has to be permitted as well for the project. So, you know, there's a raft of things you have to go through to get the next project up and running. If people know this company and its previous iteration, which was Atacama Pacific, they did a pre-feasibility study back in 2014, and it's still on CEDAR, and it's still on our website, I think, somewhere. I think you can get access to it there. But they looked at a large mining scenario, 80,000 tons a day order pad, and they came up with a capex back then of $400 million to build the project. They were assuming they were going to get water from the ground, and it was a, you know, a reasonable looking project. When we took it over, we looked at that and said, well, that'd be nice, but it's going to take us ages to secure the water. And Chile has just been through a few years of environmental pushback against groundwater, you know, pulling water from the ground, because a lot of the water table throughout the country has been depleted, particularly in the north part of the country, because of these big mines, you know, Escondida, Chuquicamata, et cetera, and so the government, you know, really went hard against giving permits out for subsurface water. And we were in the middle of that when we bought this asset back in 2018. So we decided, let's avoid that. Let's just get this project to production. What can we do there? And we are good at this because we did this with La Reina. We did it with Shahuindo, which now belongs to Pan American Silver. But we were the ones who developed those projects and built those projects, and we bootstrapped those projects. And that's exactly what we're doing with this project. We're going to start it small. We're going to truck water to the project. And I got a lot of pushback on trucking the water to the project, but it works, right? And it avoids all sorts of permitting issues. And guess what? During the whole EIA process, not one authority pushed back against us trucking the water to the project. So everybody should relax about the fact that we're trucking water to the project. But I'm the first person to admit it's not optimal, right? It's not optimal, but it gets the project built. And if you look at our feasibility study that we completed late last year, and you look at our AISC, which includes all the costs of trucking the water, which, the biggest cost is fuel. Our AISC comes out about $1,250, which is good. In this current gold market, most companies are reporting somewhere between, it depends on the mine, but some people are lucky enough to have 900 all the way up to $1,400, $1,500 AISC. So we're sort of in the middle of all that. But that includes trucking the water. So getting ourselves to production, getting the project built, and then modifying the EIA to suit whatever expansion option we take is going to be a lot easier than doing it from scratch, right? Now, what's developed over the last 6 years since we've owned this project is that there are third parties building desal projects near Copiapó, which is 140 kilometers down the road from our project, to sell water to third parties, right? We know there's mines that have built their own desal plants. Lundin Mining have one, Escondida have one. A lot of the mining companies have their own desal, but there are groups now looking to build independent third-party ones and providing water to projects like us. And we're talking to those people. And so what that involves is building a pipe from Copiapó, where the reservoir will be of this desalinated water, to our project, which is 140 kilometers. But there's also an elevation change of 500 meters to 4,500 meters or more. So, we have to see whether the company that's providing the water is going to flip that bill for the CapEx and then include that CapEx in the operating cost for the sale of the water to us, or what's going to happen. We're still in we're still in that learning curve right now with those various parties. So I think, and there's still the possibility of us acquiring permitted water that belongs to somebody else in and around our project that maybe they're not using, that we could use, right? But that's difficult. I think we're going to get a solution where we get this desal water piped up from Copiapó, and that will be the centerpiece of a study. Now, we're looking to expand this project to 80 to 100,000 tonnes a day. We're starting at 20,000 tonnes a day. And the reason we're starting at 20,000 tonnes a day is because of truck water. But it can be expanded 4 to 5 times the size. And if it gets to that size, we're predicting it will produce somewhere between 250 and 300,000 ounces of gold per annum for at least 7 years and longer. We've got 5 million ounces of gold in oxides. We've not found the bottom to the oxides. We've not found the bottom to the mineralization, and the mineralization extends laterally as well. So we've done nothing from an exploration perspective, really, apart from doing lots of mapping and understanding of the nature of this deposit. But when we get to production, we'll probably pull up a couple of rigs and start drilling these extensions to the ore body to replace depleted reserves and to show how big this project will grow. So it's 5 million ounces today, M&I. Could it be 6, 7, 8? Yes, it could. And you could see a project producing 250 to 300,000 ounces here for 10 to 15 years at least. So then it becomes a world-class gold project. I won't call it tier one because everybody's got different criteria for what a tier one project is, but I call it world-class. 250 to 300,000 ounces is world-class. And if you look at that presentation, there are 2 animals that replicate what we're about to do, and that's Marigold, which belongs to SSRM, and Bald Mountain, which belongs to Kinross, both in Nevada. And they are the only 2 gold oxide run-of-mine heap leach projects in the world producing more than 100,000 ounces a year. That's where we're headed. Both those projects carry in the order of $1 billion US of NAV for those particular companies. So that's where we're headed, right? But we've got to get started. And so building a $110 million project, getting to 100,000 ounces a year, paves the way for us to expand this project in the future. When? I don't know, right? But it will happen. I hope before I leave this planet. I'm 65. I hope to be around for a lot longer. But I think, in the next 5 years, between now and the next 5 years, we should be able to put down some concrete plans as to where this project is going from an expansion perspective.
No, thank you for all that information. So are you going to publish a feasibility study or a PFS or something like that this year on the
We need to
expansion?
talk. Yeah, we need to talk to consultants about that. And given where we are with our current project, is what sort of level will this be? But yeah, we want to produce a study that shows some numbers and maybe some options that people can say, well, this is where this company is going, and this is where this project's going. Obviously, I feel confident in gold, just like you do with your your business called TheDailyGold. I think gold's a great business to be in. I think gold's not a commodity. It's a currency. It's money. I think we're not going to see gold going back to $1,000 an ounce anytime soon. I think we're going to see quite healthy levels for the gold price. I'm not going to predict what prices, but the good thing is that since the beginning of the year or the last few months anyway, we're seeing a new floor for it, maybe above $2,000. Before that, the floor was about 1,850. Before that, it was 1,250. So we're seeing this nice incremental. We're not seeing hockey stick parabolic rises in the price of gold. And that's all happening because of inflation and because of the state of financial markets or money markets around the world, and debt and other things. So I think we're in a great business, and so I think, irrespective of this project maybe being expanded sometime within the next 5 years, without me giving a specific date, puts us in good position.
Thank you for all that info, Alex. As we close, any final words or anything you want to touch on that we didn't cover?
No, I mean, look, as you know, I've dealt with a lot of people that follow you that bought into our company a couple of years ago before we got held up by the government. I spoke to a lot of those people or emailed a lot of those people during that 18-month period. I told them, look, Rio2 is not a quick flip. It's a long story. You need to be prepared to stay the long haul for this story. And we will execute and deliver. That's what we're known for. So we will build a mine, and we will create value, and we will expand the project as well and create value in doing that. I don't control our share price. I don't know what our share price can go to. I don't know what sort of value we can go to. But as I said, when we look at those comparatives, I think the future for our company from a capital growth perspective is very bright. And the other thing I've got to say is gold oxide heap leaching, when you have the correct characteristics and metallurgy, is a money-making machine. It's a money printing machine. And just look at Marigold and just look at Bald Mountain for those two companies. So, that's where we're headed. And, to those who have supported us, thanks for your faith. And you can always find me. I like to give out my email address, alex.black@rio2.com. If people want to write to me directly and ask me questions, happy to take those questions anytime.
Alex, thank you so much for taking time today and giving us an update on Rio2. I really appreciate it. And hopefully we could do this again later in the year and talk about your progress.
Yeah, when we've got something to talk about, love to be back. Hopefully we can talk about a financing, and that would be a good time to come back, and then there will be start of construction.